All right, so welcome to today's webinar. We're going to go over posting insurance payments. And before we get started, I want to share something with everyone that is available to you on our knowledge base. So if you are familiar with our support website, it's support.myvisionexpress.com. If you get a chance, go onto our support website and in our knowledge base, and I'm just going to navigate there, that way you guys can see, under the insurance section, you're going to go to payments. And I'm going to scroll down here to the one that says posting insurance payments. This is basically what I'm going to go over today. And I want to share this with you because this is a nice PDF guide that you can always use. It's available to you. So all you have to do is just click on that attachment. It's just going to download to your computer and you'll have access to this PDF guide, which is going to be what I go over in today's webinar. Okay, so to get started, I am already logged into My Vision Express here. I'm going to go to File, Batch, Payments. This is where we are going to go to build a batch list of orders and post our insurance payments. So File, Batch, Payments. It's going to give me a batch payments window. We'll give that a moment to open up. And here we are. The very first thing that you're going to do here is you're going to build your batch list of orders that we have to post payments towards. To build the batch list, which is going to appear down here, and you'll see that in a few minutes, there's two ways, or I would say three ways that we can do that. The very first way is using the search order method. This method will allow you to search by any of the criteria listed here in this search order section. So as you can see, there's a few fields that are available there, and the list is going to populate based on the criteria that you enter here. Okay. So please make a note, very special note, that if you use this method, it is known as a replacement search. So it means that every time that you enter criteria and you click on order search button here, your list is going to be replaced with a new list based on the newly entered criteria in that search order section. So if you would like to find your orders using this method here, again, you can use any of the criteria here. So I'm just going to say, for example, I'm looking for an insurance balance I'm just going to pick an insurance here, let's say DMERC. Okay, and I can even say, well, I'm looking for orders that were created between this particular date range. You can put that in as well. Or if you're multi-location, you can select a location, for example. So any of this criteria that you want to use to search for your orders that have an insurance balance with DMERC, you can put that in. Once you select order search, it's going to pull up a list for you down here. Okay. So that is what's going to happen. That is the first method that you can use. So it's going to populate the list of orders that have open insurance balances, negative or positive, for the insurance company that you selected. Okay. Sometimes the list that you get here, you might get a patient on this list that you didn't necessarily receive a payment for. So you received a payment, but let's say Adriana Lima is not being paid for in this insurance payment that you're receiving right now. So what you can do is you can either remove her from the list that you see here by selecting that line and selecting delete order. Now I know that the verbiage of the button might seem a little misleading, but basically when you select delete order, it's not deleting the order. Let's just say it's deleting the order from within the payments, this batch payments window. So that's basically what it will do. It's just going to go remove this line. Another thing that you can do is just use this new feature here, that is the include checkbox. So basically, as we go post our payments, you would just check off the ones that you want to include that are a part of the payment, and if it's not part of the payment, then you would just leave that box unchecked. And it'll make a little bit more sense here now once we start applying our payments, okay? But first thing we're going to do is we're going to build our list here, and you can do it with the search order method, which is how I pulled up my list down at the bottom. Okay, another way that you can do that, so I'm just going to kind of clear our window again and start again where we were at. So give me just 1 second. All right. Instead of using the search order section here, you can use the add order method here. So if you know the order number, this method is going to allow you to build your batch to match your EOB exactly, and is usually the preferred method if you know the order number. So all you have to do is put in that order number into this field, select add, and it would add that order for you. Now, if you don't know the order number, what you can do is click on the magnifying glass icon, and this is going to allow you to search for those orders. So I clicked on the magnifying glass here. It's going to search for the orders based on the criteria that I enter here in this section. So for example, I want to see what balances I have with DMERC Medicare. I'm going to just put that in. I'm not going to put anything else. I'm going to do a search, and it's going to search for me based on this criteria. It's going to give me a list down here at the bottom. Okay, 12 records have been found, and I have some information there. Now what I can do here is select by simply clicking on the order that I want. Okay, so you'll be able to look at your EOB and see exactly what you need to select from the list here. So you're going to match this to what you have in your EOB. So I can see my EOB and I can say, okay, and also this makes it really easy because the majority of the time your EOB is probably going to come in alphabetical order by last name, and that is how this list is being filtered here. So it's very easy for you to find the patient that you're looking for. If for some reason maybe your EOB comes a little bit different, maybe it comes alphabetical order by first name, I can easily filter using that as well. So there's headers here that you can change around if you want. So just to let you know. So notice that I clicked on last name, and instead of giving me A through B, it's giving me Z through A through Z. It's giving me Z through A alphabetical order. So just a little trick to kind of help you find what you're looking for a little easier if you're looking at your EOB. So I'm going to find the orders that I want to include, that I'm receiving payment for, and I'm just going to go ahead and click on them. So I'm going to go ahead and select here. All I'm doing is clicking on the orders that I want. Notice that they appear highlighted in blue. I'm going to select them, and they will be added here into the batch payments window. The next thing that I'm going to do now that I have built up my list, so once your batch list is created the way that you want, we're going to enter the payment details for the payment that you're receiving. That is going to be the area on the top right-hand section kind of the window on the top right. You're going to see payment details. You'll see the payment type. Insurance is already selected for us. So make sure that the insurance radio button is selected, and it's defaulted to this. So just make sure that that is the one that you want. We're going to then enter the posting date. So by default, we have today's date here, and then the employee that shows up here by default is going to be the employee that is logged into My Vision Express. So right now, I'm logged in as Vision Express, and of course, under the posting date, I have today's date. Next, I'm going to put in the payment method. So we're going to select the appropriate method here. If you select a check, the system will know the difference that this is not going to be a patient check. Instead of a patient check, it's going to recognize that you're saying an insurance check. So that's the example that I'll use today. I'll say check. If you select EFT here, electronic funds transfers, those payment amounts that you enter will be listed under EFT on your reports. So I just want to let you know that as well. When I'm done posting my payments here, I will show you guys the day sheet and show you how the payments that we post reflect into your day sheet. All right, so I'm going to just use my example today as check. In the amount section, you're going to enter the payment amount. So this is going to be the total amount of the payment you're receiving. And I know that we have in our example here 4 different patients. I'm going to put in the total amount for those 4 patients, the total amount of the payment that I'm receiving. So in our example today, I'm going to say that I received a payment of $300. You have a section for the check number, the date of the check or your payment. So I can change that here. I'm going to select the insurance that I'm receiving that payment for. And I have a section for notes. I also have a section here for payment location. By default, this is going to be the location that I am logged into. And this is made for those of you that are at a multi-location practice. Maybe you receive the payment in one location, but it's for a payment for one of your other locations. So the payment location is where you're taking the payment at. And again, that defaults to the location that you're logged into. All right, so now we're going to continue and we're going to go ahead and, excuse me, I'm just a little bit under the weather here, so my throat is acting up. So now once that we've created our batch list and we've added our payment details, we're going to begin posting and allocating payments to their respective orders here. So we'll use the 4 patients that I have here, for example. So here you're going to see again that include box, which by default, when we go over here and enter our payment amount, it's going to automatically check off for me. So I don't have to check it off now. I'm going to see the location, the patient number, the patient name, the order number. If I need to go back to the order, maybe I need to take a look at any of these balances here. Maybe I want more information. I can easily click here on the order button, and it's actually going to open up that order for me. So I'll just give that a moment to open up here. Okay, so as you can see, here is Mr. Leonard McCoy. And we got a nice picture of him there. But basically, that's a shortcut to the order. If you decide to go to the order and if you make any changes here to your order, when you go back to the batch payment windows, make sure that you refresh your order. That way those new changes can reflect into this batch payment window again. So moving along here, we have your order date, the retail unit price on that order, what the insurance balance is, what patient balance is on that order. So you can see that there is a patient balance. He does owe us $344. And then here under balance, you're just going to get the total of both of these columns here, insurance balance, patient balance, total of $447.80. Patient hasn't paid anything here, so it's at 0. Detail. This detail button, when you click on it, it's going to give you details here based on the V code or procedure code that is on that order. From here, you can also allocate your payment, and we'll go into that in just a moment. I just want to finish talking about the rest of the columns here, so I'm going to scroll over here to the right, and just a quick little shortcut. You can open up any of these header columns that you see. Once you get those 2 little arrows, I like to kind of open these sections up here, and you'll see that some of those headers are also in bold. It is on purpose. It just makes it a little easier for you to look at the columns since they're all kind of close together, and sometimes it might seem a little confusing when you're posting your payment. All right, so we have our payment column, and this is where we're going to enter how much of that $300 payment applies to this order. So we'll start off here with patient Leonard McCoy, and our insurance balance here is $103.80, and we're just going to say here that the insurance paid $100. All right, so that means that there is going to be $3.80 that was unpaid. The moment that I select, the moment that I click outside of this field here, it's going to calculate from the insurance balance, and the $3.80 will then be listed as the new insurance balance, and you're going to find that under this new insurance balance column. Okay? So the $3.80 that are left over are here and are now the new insurance balance. If you are not going to get paid from your insurance on this particular balance, then we probably need to write off this balance. That way it no longer shows as a new insurance balance. And we can do that here in this column called balance transfer. So right now it is set to no transfer, meaning that we're going to leave that new insurance balance open and available. And basically that's the option that you would pick if, let's say, maybe you are going to receive more payment. Maybe they're going to send you another payment for that $3.80. So you would leave it at no transfer. That way later on you can always come back and pull up that order again and apply any additional insurance payments you may receive for that new balance. Okay, but in this particular case I said no, we're not going to receive any more payment. We're just going to write off that $3.80. And to do that, I'm going to go into that balance transfer column. I'm going to change it from no transfer to write off. That $3.80 is no longer here, and it appears under the write off column now. Okay, so that is how you can write off the rest of that balance that the insurance didn't pay. There is a shortcut down here at the bottom of your window, and I'm not going to use it now, but write off balance basically means that you're going to write off the balance on every single order here. So it's just a shortcut. So if I were to leave this at no transfer, and I go through all of my orders here and I post my payments and I don't do anything under this column, and let's say at the end I'm just going to write everything off. So I'm just going to do an example of that really quick. I'm just going to post some payments here. Okay. I want to write off everything here. Then what I would do is I would say write off. It's going to tell you all insurance balances will be written off. We'll say okay, and it basically does that instead of you having to do it line by line. So it's basically what I did there. I just used that shortcut at the bottom. There's nothing here under the new insurance balance column. All of that is here. Okay, so that is that write-off balance. And I'm just going to go back and talk a little bit more about some other things that we have available here. So I'm going to go back to where we were at. Let me just change these. Oops. And we'll go back here. Okay. Now, as we go through our batch applying payments, we're going to see at the bottom here of our page that we're going to see a section that says payment, which is the total amount of the payment that we received and how much of that payment we've applied so far. So I am not done yet applying payment because as you can see unapplied there's $200. Okay, and a really nice feature inside of the batch payments is that if you ever forget to apply some amount and you try to apply the batch, first it's going to give you an alert telling you you haven't allocated to the item level. you can bypass that, but it's going to recognize that you haven't finished applying the total amount, and it will give you an alert letting you know the payment amount should be the same as the applied amount. So the batch won't really apply for you until this is at 0 here. Okay. Before I continue posting payments, I also want to let you know your batch can be saved and you can continue with it later on. So let's say if, for example, you're starting to post payments, you're at the front desk or you're in your office and you start this batch and you start to post payments, and all of a sudden you maybe get a little rush and you get some patients in, or you have to go to lunch, or you have to go cover for somebody, but you're in the middle of posting payments. What do? Instead of having to start the batch all over again, what you can do is you can just save the batch here. So you have a save button up here. This will give you the batch ID is 83. It's going to keep it open, and you can easily close this, and you can pull up the batch again once you're ready to come back to it. So I'm going to go to File, Batch, Payments. And instead of me starting all over again, I'm just going to go to Batch Search and search for the batch that I already started today. So I can easily use any of the search criteria here. So I'm just going to say insurance, and I know that it's open, and I know that it was with DMERC. So I can use that, and I can find the batch that I want. So here's the batch that I was working on, today's date, batch number 83. I'll select it, and it brings me right back to where we were just at. Okay. Also, you're going to notice that I've entered that $100 payment in my very first order there, and that my include box is automatically checked off for me. All right. So we'll continue here. We posted a $100 payment here. We do have that balance of $3.80 that I am going to go back in here, and I'm going to select write off. So you'll see the $3.80 under the write off column. You can also go into the allocation button here, and you can go ahead and allocate your payment and your write off amount per the line that you would like. So you can, some customers, some offices like to do that. And you can allocate your payment exactly how you want to. Okay, so as you can see, the system automatically did the allocation for me, but if you need to make any changes, you can. Okay, and you also have another detail section down here at the bottom. It's going to just show you the details of that order, the lines, and the V codes. All right, so we're going to go along the line here. We're going to keep posting our payments. So our next patient here is Oliver Wright. He has an insurance balance of $15. And if the insurance, let's say the insurance didn't pay anything for that $15, I'm going to leave this at 0. I'm going to check off this box because I do want to include it, even though my payment is 0. When the payment is 0, the box doesn't automatically check off for you. So please make a note of that. It's still included, even though you didn't get a payment for it. So you need to check off that box saying that you received 0, and then you're probably going to write off that $15. So you can select write off. Or let's say I'm not going to write it off. I'm going to say, well, you know, they weren't eligible for it. It's now the patient's responsibility. I can transfer that to the patient here by selecting patient under balance transfer. So instead of that $15 going under the write-off column or going under the new insurance balance column, it is now going towards the patient's responsibility, towards the patient's account. So you're going to see it under the patient amount column. Okay, and let's see. In addition to the $15, we're going to make the patient responsibility. They already had $155 here that was already a balance owed. So it's going to add the 155 plus the 15 that we just transferred, made the patient responsibility, and it's going to give us the new patient balance here of 170. Again, if you want to go ahead and do the allocation, in this particular case, no allocation is needed because zero payment was received. And we'll continue here. So to our next one, we have Jose Marti. So far of the payment, we've applied $100. We still have $200 unapplied. And just to make this, let me see here. Yeah, okay. We're going to go in here into the payment column, and here we have an insurance balance of $48.01. I'm just going to go ahead and say that they paid all of that. We got lucky there, and they paid it in full. And they paid $48.01. And there's nothing really to transfer, nothing really to do. Our patient just owes us a balance of $80, and that is it. Again, if you want to allocate that payment differently, you can. And we'll go on to our next one here, very last one, Adriana Lima, insurance balance of $168.50. And this one's really easy. Well, there's only $151.99 left over to our payment. And you're going to see that in your EOB as well. At the end, notice we're done applying our payments here. We have that zero unapplied. There is a new insurance balance here. So again, you need to either write that off, transfer it to the patient. Now, I'm going to show you another option that's available here. Let's say that you need to just write off of that $16.51. Maybe you just need to write off $10, and the other $6.51 are going to be the patient's responsibility. Maybe you have some type of special case where something was still the patient's responsibility and you're going to write off the rest. Well, under that balance transfer column, you're going to find a custom option where that will allow you to come into that write-off column and put in the amount that you want to write off, and under the patient amount, put in how much you want to make the patient responsibility. Okay, so I selected custom and I was able to do that way. Now, another scenario that I want to talk to you about is what if we need to transfer that $16.51 to a secondary insurance? Sometimes this happens. If that secondary insurance is in the patient's profile, very important that that secondary insurance needs to be listed in the patient's profile under the insurance tab. You'll find that secondary insurance here on your list. You will select that secondary insurance to transfer it over to your secondary insurance. Now, after you do that, you still need to submit that claim and file that claim with that secondary insurance. This doesn't automatically do that for you. So I just want you to make a note if you have any type of situation like that. Okay. So you do have that option from within the balance transfer as well. Okay. In this particular scenario, I'm just going to write that one off. All right. So we have a write-off of $16.51. So basically, we are done applying our full payment here of the $300. We've applied it. Our unapplied is zero. Okay. And before we apply our batch, I want to talk to you about a feature called provider level balancing. It's our PLB feature that is available inside of batch payments here. This will allow you to record and adjust off any negative balance forwards, or record any payments when no check has been issued, or maybe you got charged like a late fee for filing a claim late, and maybe they charged you $10. Those type of fees aren't necessarily, those type of adjustments aren't necessarily related to any of these individual claims. So you would use the PLB feature to put that in. Okay, so I'm going to just do an example here under the POB. I'm going to click on POB, and I'm going to see automatically I already have my line. I'm going to select the reason. Okay, so there's a few reasons in here that we've added. You can see is a very detailed list. And if for some reason you don't find the reason for your adjustment, there is other here. But for my example, I'm going to say I got charged a late fee. Okay, so let's say I got a late fee of $10. So that'll be a negative $10. So I'm going to put in a negative 10, and I put in my reason here. Any notes that you may need to put in, you can put them in the notes section. And all you have to do is close this window. If you select add, that's going to add another line. Okay. And if you made a mistake, you can easily delete it. So once you're done putting in your PLB, that's a part of this payment that you received here. We got charged a late fee. I put in that negative $10. I'm going to close it. It's going to ask me if I want to save the changes. I will say yes. Okay, and you're going to see here that under PLB, I have my negative 10. Okay, now all that is left off to do is apply my payment. So I'm going to select apply. Again, it's going to give me that little alert indication that I didn't allocate some of this stuff at the item level, and it asks me if I wish to continue without checking them. If you say no, basically it's just going to take you back, and then you would go through your allocation there. And if you say yes, well, basically you're just going to continue there. It's going to tell you that your payments have applied successfully, and your status for the batch is then going to automatically change from open to closed, and it is no longer there. It's gone because it saved it and it took it away, and you can go ahead and start any additional batch that you may need, any additional payments that you may need to post. If you needed to search again for that batch, you can go back into batch search. I can go ahead and pull it up here. It's going to show under the history because I did just complete that one today, so I can easily find it and pull it back up. I can't show you a preview of it, but I could let you know that there is a print option in here. Actually, I think it might show a preview. Yes, perfect. So if you select print, you'll get a preview. It's called the batch payments report. So if you want to print this out, maybe you guys keep a record of the payment that you posted, or maybe you need to you want to use this with the check that you need to deposit to your account, you can print this report out here. And again, you can always come back and search for the batch that you've already completed. So if you want to save yourself the sheet of paper, you don't necessarily have to print it out, because you can always come back to the batch search and pull up the batch that you've already done. All right. That basically completes our webinar on batch payments. What I'm going to do is, before I go into the Q&A, I did say that I was going to go over the report for the day sheet and show you how the payments that we have applied here today appear and reflect on your day sheet. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to switch here to my day sheet. And in the meantime, if you guys want to go ahead and start putting in your questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. All right, so I've generated my day sheet report for today, And of course, it's going to look a little weird and blank because I really haven't created any orders today. I've only taken an insurance payment. So you're only going to see the payments here. So you can see here that the total check payment that we applied in the batch was $300. So it's going to show under received for an insurance check. Okay, and earlier I did one under EFT prior to the webinar, so that's also showing up there. So I did that one, that way you can see that if I would have put EFT instead of check, you're going to see it under EFT. Also ACH payments, if you get those, you're going to see them. Those are the three options that are available for your insurance payments there. So any payment you receive that you applied in the batch, you're going to see it under the received column. If you adjusted something off in the POB feature, you're gonna find it under the adjusted column there, and then your total. So just for you to see how those payments appear in your day sheet. All right. So I'll just go back here, and I just want to pull up some information for you, for those of you that are not familiar with how to, if you need us, lost my slides, but this is basically your support website. That is support.myvisionexpress.com. That is where you're looking at now. Please use this. There's a lot of great tools on here. In addition to the webinars, you have our knowledge base in here that's available, as well as videos that you guys might already be familiar with. Take a look here. Right now we have our training webinar schedule up. So if you're interested in joining any other webinar that we may have coming up in the future, register for them again, and I'll go over any questions